Ding, ding.
Oh, don't ever do that again.
Ding,
Don't
ding.
ever do that again.
Well, so look, Jerry's here. I didn't know if he was going to be on tonight.
What are you
So,
drinking? Water? Is that water?
no, it's vodka. I
What?
drink vodka by like the giant glass. Yeah, it's water.
I don't say what the fuck. That's a
I'm-
lot of liquor in there, man.
Yeah, the show would be over quick. Yeah, so welcome to episode number 160 of Mirrorless
Dwayne.
Minutes. We got DH in the house. Like I said, so I wasn't sure if Jerry was going to be on. He was traveling for work. And so I just took the liberty of saying, it's my show tonight. It's just going to be all me. Bring your questions. Ask me anything. And then Jerry's calls
I didn't
me.
see that till this morning either because I drove all day yesterday.
Yeah.
I got back late last night. It was either stay in a hotel down there again and then drive up the following day. And I was like, I can make it.
Yeah.
So I worked 8 hours and then I drove 7.5.
Yep. What's up, Jeff?
John?
Should I say, can I say your first name? Zim?
Zim, man.
So I really wasn't prepared for you to be on. So I tried to fill up with all this stuff.
You got to do, and I'll just sit here and listen and look pretty.
Well, hell, I mean, there's only just a handful of people watching, and I don't see questions pouring in yet. So maybe it's really good thing that you're here tonight to save me. So,
and I don't want to look pretty for any of them.
Yeah. Hey, what's going on, Steve? Yeah. So tonight was just going to be like an ask me anything. I was kind of. Is that your phone?
Yeah.
Come on, jeez.
You know, I muted one and I forgot to do the other one.
Rookie. But so it was just going to be an ask me anything. Back in the game, brand new pen F, right on.
Nice.
Helps take your mind off things to watch us.
That's what tequila's for, man.
No, I don't know. I know what you're talking about, Jeff, sort of. I mean, I don't fully know, but yeah, you want to come hang out, dude? I you know where I live. So anyways, yeah, I was just kind of expecting to roll solo and answer questions. There she is. It's about time.
Hey, Shirley.
But I'm glad you came on because honestly, it seems like every time I try to do something like this, where I'm like, bring your questions. Come on, ask all the questions you want to ask. I'll answer anything.
Nobody asks anything.
No, and I think everybody just knows everything. And I don't, not to say I know everything, but okay. I can speak freely about this question now without any kind of fear at all. Same old question. What am I thinking about the Olympus future? Don't take this as a cop-out answer, but I feel like I need to wait just a little bit longer. I think if Olympus stayed the course and had not been bought out, I don't think there would be much of a future to talk about. I mean, time frame, I don't know. I just know that as amazing as everything they make is, which it really is, they do things that no one's doing as far as tech. Their lens quality is superb. We know that the weather sealing in their cameras is ridiculously good, but none of that matters if people don't know. And it hurts to even talk like this, because I know personally a lot of the people involved in the market, or, a handful of the people involved in the marketing side of things, at least stateside.
Right.
And they just didn't market for crap. And I don't know if
unless you want to shoot birds, they did. I mean,
yeah, well,
or shoot sports cars.
Right. I mean, and even then the marketing was really limited.
Well, yeah. Where the soccer moms at? How come nobody's marketing soccer moms?
Right. I mean, perfect point. And that's something that I had brought up on several occasions. The majority of people, they wanted to focus on the pro segment. And I get it because you have to validate yourself as a brand to have a pro line. Sure. But at the same time, how many pros out there are there versus the average person looking for a camera?
Right.
You know what I mean? You'd have to
Right.
You'd have to sell a
Look,
lot of pros
look,
on stuff to equal even a portion of the average person.
yeah, look at the Explorer program. Not everybody lives in Utah.
Mhm.
And when I look at that, that's all I see.
But so even then, I get it. None of that is even where my head is at with it. I understand showing people like Brooke Little Bear, who is in the woods or on a mountaintop or in the desert all the time. I get it because they get amazing photos and
Well,
people
they
want to
get
see that. It's inspiration.
right, right, but
But
that's not everybody's life.
no, and I mean, but at the end of the day, it's cool to show all that stuff. But regular people, how are you reaching regular people? The neighbor across the street from me, she's probably not on Instagram looking up people like
Right,
Brooke Little Bear
right,
or Scott Bourne, the bird photographer, or people of a super high caliber, because that's just not her life. She wants to just be advertised a camera that lets her know she can shoot Johnny at a soccer game
yep,
and she can shoot, Susie's birthday party in the backyard and Christmas and stuff like that and have a good camera that's going to work.
yep,
Those people know Canon and Nikon.
yep,
And I'm not bashing Olympus because at the end of the day, I know that all of their direction probably comes from overseas in Japan, as well as somebody telling them this is how much you've got for advertising. And we know ad dollars are expensive. I don't know if it's worth it to advertise on TV anymore because hell, I cut cable like 2 years ago, so I don't even know what regular TV looks like or cable.
right.
But
Yeah, I haven't watched TV.
but there are avenues for advertising that are outside of Instagram influencers, and I was a part of all that stuff, and I am eternally and forever will be grateful for the journey that I was given because they were doing those things on social media. But to save the company as a whole, I think they could have kept their program really small and
Right,
invested a lot of money in
and
traditional advertising towards the average consumer.
right.
And so,
Um,
hold on. I'm almost done. I'm sorry. I'm on a rant. But to go to circle this all the way back to Steve's question, without that sort of advertising and marketing endeavor, I think Olympus just goes like this and disappears. Now, under the ownership of OM Digital Solutions, let's see what they do. Who knows? I mean, they can't just survive on making
I
cool
think
ass
they're just buying
gear.
time. Either that or they're buying tech. One of the two.
Yeah.
We talk. Do how long have we been talking about this same exact thing for
Since
years?
years.
Yeah,
Jerry and I have
right,
had, and I've just not been public about it. Jerry and I have
right,
been talking about this stuff forever.
right.
I had to vent to somebody.
I mean,
Of
they market these little tiny cameras that fit in purses, yet they don't advertise anybody having one in their purse. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
know.
so I hope that answers it, Steve. I know it's not like a, very whatever date oriented. How long will they survive if they don't survive or whatever? You know what I mean? But gives you a little of my personal insight into how I see it. And like I said, I feel like if the advertising doesn't shift and reach a broader audience outside of the handful of people who are going to spend, you know, $4,000 on, on each of their lenses or, whatever, investing in the highest end stuff, then how do you survive? You can't make it
Right.
up in massive dollar amounts and small volume. You need to make volume sales. You just do. Um, eh,
You gotta sell a lot of stuff
yeah.
because there's not many people that's going to. If you have the option for a $2,000 A7 III or a $2,000 EM1 Mark III,
Mhm.
everybody's gonna take the A7 III.
Yeah.
Most of the people, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I know that there definitely is a market for people who don't want
It's not that
the
much bigger
but the lenses are. And there's no way to
unless
argue that. Even
um,
even the Tamrons are bigger. They're not Sony big. I mean, once you get
right,
into like
right.
f2.8s and stuff,
They're
yeah.
they're they're tolerable. I mean, they're
Oh, yeah.
usable. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
I have no complaints about the weight of this system.
Nope.
If I've got it sitting in a Pelican case somewhere around here, in the Pelican case, the Sony system weighs a ton, but I take it out of that case and I put it in my backpack, and then I realize it's really not much different than my Olympus system.
Right.
But so to talk, to jump into what Mike was asking about jumping in now and shooting both Sony and Olympus, do I see myself continuing to stick to two systems? Yeah, for me, for sure. I'm planning on storm chasing in the plain states soon. My window for chasing is from literally right this moment, jumping on a plane and leaving, to sometime mid-June. And when I go, my biggest internal struggle is what am I taking with me? And honestly, man,
You know what you're gonna shoot.
but here's the thing.
You
Here's the
know
thing.
what you're gonna shoot when you get out
I
there.
don't trust that Sony stuff for nothing in the rain.
You
And,
just ain't used it long enough.
right. But in all honesty, come on.
If that shit was that bad, nobody'd be using them.
Right. But okay. So if I want to shoot storms in the plain states, I'm not chasing tornadoes. I just want big giant clouds and lightning.
Right.
If there's lightning during the day, I'm going to have to spend $200 on a good lightning trigger for the Sony, or run time lapses and pray to God that lightning hits in one of my frames and then sift through 1,000 frames to find it. Or I bring an Olympus, the EM1X, and I use Pro Capture. And when I see the flash, I just hit the button and I've got it. It's that easy. So, and then the nighttime stuff. Live composite much? I mean, come on. It's a no-brainer for me for storms.
Honestly, if you look at if, this just is for Star Trails.
Mhm.
If you're shooting, and I don't necessarily want to say full frame, but non-composite Star Trails,
Yeah.
when you know how to do it, look better than composite Star Trails.
I won't argue that one bit. I mean,
Yeah.
the low light that you're going to get from the full.
No, I'm
from a
talking about
Sony-
the actual trail. It's not pixelated and looks
okay.
like blocks, and you know what I mean? Does that make sense to you? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, but I could send you some of my live composites. I've seen people's live composites that do that. They look stuttery, and none of mine do that.
But mine don't either. But when you shoot them in one photo versus multiple,
Yeah,
it looks a lot smoother.
yeah,
And Jason Miney is a perfect example of that.
yeah.
Me and him, we shot the same Star Trail, or we did the same, what you call it, the Star Trail above the Ludington Lighthouse,
Mhm.
and we ran them the same time.
Yeah.
And his looked a lot better. On his
I'd love to see the two images side by side and see what you're talking about, because I don't.
It looks a lot smoother. Oh yeah, trust me, it's a lot smoother.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, you just have to be looking at the settings in the live composite setup. But when it comes to like shooting these storms, they tend to look their best. They're most photogenic in the evening. They tend to build up all day. They get huge, giant, huge. And as the sun's getting low, that's when all hell breaks loose. And that's when they look the best. And that's when the Sony would eat the Olympus's lunch, as far as all the dynamic range, all the detail and resolution I would get. So it's like, I think having two systems is the best of both worlds. And I think I'm going to be that idiot that travels with two systems all the time, for stuff like that. It's a once in a lifetime thing for me, and I'm not going to miss out on the opportunity because one camera couldn't do something the other one could. So, yeah, Jeff, you didn't make a bad decision with Olympus. I'm not knocking Canon. I know it just, depending on what you're shooting, again, different systems, they all have their strengths and weaknesses for sure. And I don't know what your Canon was before, but Canon's finally catching up. It feels like in the mirrorless world, anyways. Their latest R cameras are pretty sick.
I played with Waltz a little bit when we were out shooting one night. That thing is nice, dude.
Yeah,
it is nice. I almost bought one.
But he would be, versus what Jeff has tied up into his Olympus system, he would be spending big money on that Canon, and either adapting a bunch of old lenses, or having to spend on
the adapter
lenses.
was $100, and I mean he did buy the new 100 to 500. It was like 2,800.
Yeah,
but that's still, I mean, a 300 millimeter is 2,500.
Yeah, and I agree, Steve. If again, their technology could turn it around if they advertised it better. You know, I mean, so when Pro Capture first came out and we were sitting down at like the summit, the Olympus summit, and we were sitting around the round table, and the engineer from Japan was talking about Pro Capture and what the capabilities of it were as far as like how fast it's working, how the buffer's infinite, you know, in the pre-capture, and how many frames per second it's capturing. I literally turned to Alex McClure and said, daytime lightning. I bet this can do daytime lightning. And I came home, and then that you know, because we usually have the summit like in the winter, and that spring first storm, first thing I did during a daytime storm was test it. And ever since then, I've never missed lightning during the day. So, but I mean, I said it out loud in front of everybody that matters. It's a marketing idea. Nobody ever talked about Pro Capture. I don't think I've seen a single advertisement talking about
Nobody talks
how.
about live composite, really.
No, I mean,
That's the dopest shit about the camera.
I'm telling you, Pro Capture, live composite, live ND's kind of cool, but I'll stick with glass for that. The in-body image stabilization, they hype that up like crazy, which they should, you know, because there's nothing like it.
Yeah, they're just better than everybody else.
But everybody knows about it now. That's old news.
Right.
Live composite, there should be crazy amounts of advertising on it, talking about how the average person can pick up the camera and within 5 minutes be shooting lightning and fireworks and star trails and light trails and drawing
here's
with
the thing.
sparklers.
How many times have we been out on the pier and people like Walt and Dave Behrens is out there and they have to sit at their camera. Now I get to start live composite and then walk around the pier and talk to everybody.
Yep. That's what I tell everybody about shooting out on the piers. That's what we do. You and I will set our camera up and then we'll go bullshit with everybody for an hour.
Right.
Every once in a while, come back, look at our camera, be like, oh, damn, that's cool. I'm done with this one. Boop, stop it. Start another one and go walk around.
Right. And that's the stuff they don't advertise.
No, they
Not
really don't.
everybody is going to shoot wildlife. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. You know, and it all comes down to, in my mind, the tech can't save you. It's the marketing and advertising that's going to do it.
Right.
John Thomas says the starry sky autofocus. That's cool. If it would have come out like 7 years ago, it probably would have made a bigger impact for me personally. I've got a technique that works every single time. I don't ever have a problem focusing.
Yeah, I didn't care about that one either.
But for those who either don't know how to do what I'm doing or don't want to spend the time, I guess, doing it, then it's just a one-touch thing and just let it run for a second, you know, until it gets it. It's cool. But again, how many magazine spreads has it been in? You know, how many in-depth tutorials from Olympus themselves has it been in? You know, they just don't promote.
Right. It's like if you look at this is a good example here. If you look at the Facebook Olympus pages, it looks like bird photography page.
Yeah, that's funny. Sweetheart, you know that's what I'm doing. I'm probably take one change of clothes and 50 pounds of camera gear. And the benefit of taking two systems too is that I can run one at a time lapse while I'm shooting stills with the other. You know, because I want to document as much of this experience as I can. So, what else we got here? Yes, the struggle is real. Come over here when we're eating cabbage. So, yeah. So that's great to have. Okay. I was just going to say, it's great to have some questions and some conversation going. And then I thought we were done, but I'm glad Mike jumped in. Let's see. Deciding which system to travel is always the biggest issue that he has when packing. Too often end up with both. Too much weight to drag along. I agree.
Gotta be more like me, Mike.
Yeah.
One camera, two lenses.
You should, do you follow Derek's story?
Yeah, Derek. Yeah.
I mean, he's the nimble photographer. You're like his Great Lakes version of the nimble photographer.
Right.
He travels as light as humanly possible all the time.
Yo, just make cool shit, man. That's all I can say. Make cool stuff.
Yep. I think your approach to it, the closest I've gotten to it is when I spent like I think I spent like 6 or 7 months straight, and all I shot with was primes.
Right.
When you scale back on stuff or do something that doesn't give you too much choice or limits you, it forces you to just be more creative and see things differently.
Right. So
You
I,
know?
I I I used to be I used to have every lens. I need an 85 millimeter for portraits. I need a 14 millimeter for landscape. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then I get them, and then my pictures ain't no better.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? I need something that I can shoot everything with. So I get a 28 to 70, and that covers landscapes and portraits.
Yep.
So I don't need to have. Now, the only time I do like to have a super wide is if I'm in the city
Yeah.
for architecture. But for landscape, I don't need no 14 millimeter, man.
Yeah.
28. A lot of, it used to be a lot of professional fine art photographers. Their wide angles were 24 millimeters
Yeah.
because there's no barrel distortion.
Yeah.
So a lot of their landscape stuff was shot at 24 mil. I don't know about now. There's a lot of wide, super wides now, but
Yeah. And that was probably a time too, though. There wasn't really a whole lot of options,
right.
a whole lot wider than 24.
But people don't like having to deal with that barrel distortion. And sometimes, I mean, you can't correct it good enough. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
still there. It's still present.
Yep. Yeah. It just depends on, especially for architecture.
Right.
I mean, there's no escaping it. For the stuff that I do, I mean, I could damn near shoot with a fisheye and it's fine, sort of.
Right.
But yeah, you get anything with straight lines in it, and if you can't correct it, yeah, it gets a little funky.
Yep.
For sure.
I'm a strong believer in just you're the only one there. No one else knows they're gonna only see what you capture. So make sure you get the good stuff.
Yep. Yep. Agreed. For sure. I'm gonna throw a couple of photos up here real quick. I'll just go through my share. I don't have a ton to share, but I have a few. So let me see where are we at here. And again, I say this every week. If you're friends with me on Facebook, you've probably seen every single one of these. If you're not friends with me on Facebook and you just watch this on YouTube, cool. You get to see these for the first time. So this was last weekend. I was in Grand Rapids with my girlfriend, and she suggested, hey, let's go check out the skate park. And I skateboarded. I skateboarded from 1988 until 2005. So it was just part of my life, a humongous part of my life, shaped a lot of who and how I am today. So every chance I get to go hang out at a skate park or something, I'm all about it. I always say those are my people. And it was no different that day. I mean, I went down, and there was another dude down there shooting, which is kind of cool to hang out and just talk with him about, him trying to get a career in skateboard photography going. And I had a lot of fun down there shooting. And I was shooting with the Sony. Of course, that's just kind of all I've been shooting with for the last, I don't know, 6 months, it seems like, until storm season starts to ramp up again, or birding and wildlife. But I had shot with all of my lenses except for my ultra wide. And this was shot with the Viltrox 85 millimeter 1.8. I really wanted to test a couple of things out with that. I wanted to see how well it was going to perform at tracking these guys skating. And yeah, Shelly's like, I was shooting too. It was her idea. So of course she was shooting there. She's probably in the background of this shot to the left. But I wanted to test out that 85 and just see how well it would track somebody moving, because these guys are cruising pretty quick when they're hitting these rails and some of these ramps. And I also wanted to compare it to the Olympus, as far as tracking goes, because I know that seems to be a struggle for a lot of people, is the tracking in Olympus cameras. I mean, laterally or from side to side, I never had a problem with Olympus, but when things are coming at you quickly, that's where the Olympus system seemed to struggle a bit, and the Sony didn't. And I was really shocked at how well it tracked this dude with a third-party lens, like a Chinese manufactured lens that's not like a Sony product. So the Viltrox, I think, is like a $300 lens, and it tracked this dude from way in the background where the other guy is all the way up to this spot. And after he came off of the rail, and it kept him locked in. I don't think that there was maybe but 1 or 2 frames out of focus the whole time. And this is shot wide open at 1.8, so it stayed on him pretty well. So yeah, and then after the weekend concluded, I was coming home and doing what I always do, which is just wander back roads looking for stuff to shoot. And that's just kind of what this was here. Again, Sony shot, and this is with the Samyang 14 millimeter f2.8, and this is just a single frame, so it wasn't like focus stacked or anything like that, and that's why the dandelion in the foreground isn't in focus. It's soft compared to the barn or whatever, but this is shot like at f11, so I do have a decent amount of depth of field to this. I'm starting to love the colors that come out of the Sony more and more. At first they weren't quite like I felt like they were with Olympus, especially the blues. I mean, anybody that shoots Olympus understands, Olympus blues are nice and rich and deep, but fun shot. If you follow me on Facebook, you saw another version of this shot that has a dead rooster in the foreground that's black and white. That was kind of a fun shot too, but I'm not sharing that here tonight. So again, Sony A7 III, Samyang 14 millimeter f2.8 at f11. And this is the one I wanted to share with Jerry tonight. So on that drive, I'm coming down a dirt road and around a bend past a little gravel pit, and I see the foundation of an old house. And if you've been watching or listening long enough, you know that Jerry's pretty big into metal detecting, big enough into it to where he convinced me to go blow a chunk of money on a metal detector too. And so I'm always looking for something that might be a cool spot to metal detect in the future.
Yeah, that does look cool.
And like I said, so I saw two stone foundations where there were two houses or two, I'm going to guess they were a house and maybe a business front for this. I'm not sure. But this is a mill. It's an old mill. On the back side of the shot, you can see that there's water in the foreground on the right. That is sort of like dammed up. Behind it, there's a creek that actually comes right up against that wall you see in the back, and then it diverts around to the right. So there's actually like a sluice gate or something that would let water come through it. And inside of there are all these gears and everything where some sort of a mill, either a lumber mill or I have no idea what a grist mill is, but I just know it's a type of mill. So this is an old mill, and this is going to serve double duty. It was fun to walk down there and just snap some shots of it, but it's probably also going to serve as a place to go metal detecting in the future. Kind of a fun find.
Yes, sir. How
this
far is that from your house? Not
It's
far.
It's like halfway between here and Grand Rapids.
Gotcha.
I did make sure to take a cell phone shot so
Right.
that I have the GPS coordinates of it.
Right.
But this is again Sony A7 III, the Samyang 14 mil f2.8, because I wanted to make sure I got as much of the building in the shot as I could before backing up and falling in the water. This is a bracketed shot though, so that I could at least get a little bit of the interior of it exposed. So 3 frames at 3 EV each, handheld, no tripod. And then the next shot is from yesterday.
Big clouds.
Big clouds. I'm so happy that summer skies are back, or at least sort of summer skies. Same kind of a deal as always, wandering the back roads. I've shot this before. May have even shared an image of this barn before years ago on the show, but I hadn't shot it with the Sony and decided to pull over and shoot it. I love this barn because it's got a metal roof that really contrasts good with the red barn. And this is shot with the Tamron 17-28. And this is a single frame. So trying to push the shadows a bit and pull the highlights down a bit and get like a nice poppy even exposure out of that. And then towards the evening, the last shot was,
I like that.
This was really not that far from my house. I shared on the show a couple of weeks ago this farm that I photographed at sunset, and this was literally just around the corner from that. I don't know how I didn't see it the first time, but I was talking with Shelly on a video chat driving down these dirt roads and didn't even really pay attention to the house because I thought I saw a car in the driveway out of the corner of my eyes. I passed it, but I saw those hyacinths in the foreground, and I jammed on the brakes and thought, damn, I'm going to shoot this. So I backed up really quick and got out. And it was just as the sun was getting really, really low on the horizon. I was getting a lot of good golden light, and walked up, and I had my camera on the tripod for this. So this is a focus stacked image. I've been doing a lot of that lately, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But I think again, this is with the Samyang 14 f2.8, and I wanted to make sure that the house was in focus, and I wanted to make sure that the flowers were in focus, and you can't do that from a single shot.
How
So
many images?
3 images, 3 images at f8.
Right.
The first shot is focused on the flowers in the foreground at f8, and then I'm mid ground, mid foreground or whatever in the shot. There's a clump of grass in the shot that I'm focused on this midway, and then the last frame is shot focused on the house. But in addition to that, they're also bracketed 3 exposure values each. 3 shots at 3 EV, so it's total of 9 photos to build it out. I know it's like a bit of a lengthy process, it sounds like, but it happens super quick. It has to be done on a tripod.
Yeah.
So I was using Vanguard's latest tripod. It's the VO3 Plus. It's got this articulating center column on it, which helps you get, really low. And it's funny because I had just set up and shot my first 3 shots, and I was moving the focus point deeper into the shot, and I hear a car pull into the driveway off to the left in the frame there. And I didn't stop. I kept shooting, and then I heard crunching in the gravel walking up towards me. And I took the last 3 frames, and I look over, and there's a lady just with her head cocked, kind of looking at me funny, like, what are you doing here? And so I just told her, I said, it's kind of goofy, but I'm just taking pictures of this house. The flowers caught my attention. It's a cool contrast between these pretty flowers and this old house. And
Was it her house?
so it's her husband's aunt's house, and they actually live next door.
Oh.
And she said that they had people break into the house and steal antiques out of it because the woman that used to live there died about 7 or 8 years ago. Right. And so I picked up my camera off the tripod, and I said, well, here, I'll show you what I'm doing. And, flip through the shots. And she's like, oh, wow, that's really cool. And I said, well, hold on, I'll grab you a business card, and gave her the card. And I said, if you guys want a copy of this, if you want a print to hang up or something like that, just reach out to me, and I'll be glad to give you guys one. I won't charge you or anything like that. You can just take it to Walmart or whatever and get it printed. Right. I'm finding that showing people the back of the camera, handing them a card, giving them a smile, no matter what their attitude, for the most part, it just mellows right out, and it's kind of what I'm doing now. I'm doing that a lot. I'm handing out a lot of cards. I'm handing them to more average people than I am to photographers or anybody else. So,
right. All right, I got some photos to share.
Do it up.
Let me share mine, Jamie. I got 3 photos to share. We good?
We're good.
All right, so this is a focus stacked image as well. This is 7 shots. Sony A7 R2. Tamron 28 to 70 at 28 millimeters. F8. So I focused here. I focused sky. Focused on the lighthouse. I focused on the pier. I focused right in front of the pier in the water. And then I did one more in the water right above the rocks. And then I did 3 more on the rocks. So I did that top rock, the middle of the middle of the big rock, and then you can see in the very, very foreground that where those 2 rocks are combined.
Yep.
Right down there. So that's just focus stack image. I've been wanting to try it. I never, me, I never carry a tripod. So
yep.
I went out with Walt that day, and Walt always has his. So I just took mine, and I was like, let me do something different today. So I've been wanting to try focus stacking. So this is my first attempt at it. My next shot is a portrait of Jessica. This is shot with the Sony and the 20 millimeter. I mean, yeah, the 28 millimeter 2.0. This was shot at 2.0, and I have my Black Pro Mist on. And this is zero editing. So this is what I've been talking about. Like, I'm not editing photos.
Mm.
So I shot this and just sent it right to my phone and then uploaded them. And then this one is shot the other day down at Pierre Marquette. This is the 70 to 200. And this was shot at probably 135 millimeters. I wanted to get some of that fence in the foreground in the sand, and then just kind of show the depth of where the lighthouse is to the foreground. And then we have some cool sky, so that never hurts. And this is shot. I don't remember what I shot this at. I was just trying to make sure I could see those sun rays.
Yep. Yep.
So I didn't even pay attention to the settings. I was just looking through the EVF, making sure I could see the sun rays.
Yep.
All right, and that's it for me.
Nice. So do you I know this is how I do it, and I'm wondering if that's how you do it as well. Do you underexpose like a stop or almost 2 stops to get those rays to show up more?
Yeah, I'm sure it was, yeah.
So let's see what else we got here. Thank you, sir. Muchos gracias. Dude, you have to edit.
No, man. No.
Depends on your style.
I'm not editing portraits anymore.
Yeah.
You better wash your face, and you better a week before our shoot. You better wash that shit twice a day, because I'm not getting rid of your pimples anymore.
That's funny. That's funny. So excuse me.
And there's a reason for that, because I want my images to be raw.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't want them doctored.
Yeah.
So I'm not touching them up. It is what it is. That's how she looked.
Yeah. Is that going to limit the number of models you get? You know, I mean, because if they look at your past work, they're going to be like, dang, that's what I want to look like.
Dude, if you saw before and afters, you'd be like, no way. You'd
Well,
be like, no way, that's not the same girl.
I know, and they probably know that too. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah,
are you gonna get some people that are like, yeah, I'll take a hard pass until you start doing the editing thing again?
I just don't feel like doing that anymore, man.
Yeah.
I want my images to be raw. You know, this is the person I shot, not the person I shot and made him look different.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
People don't.
And I'm probably gonna get with that way with my landscape stuff too.
Yeah. Yeah, people don't understand that anymore. They live in Instagram and Snapchat filters, you know.
Well,
you know, the world of the catfish is here.
Right. I mean, it's gonna be close. I'm basically trying to more like the workflow of film. Does that make sense?
No, it doesn't, because people did a ton of stuff in the darkroom.
Yeah, but you weren't removing pimples in the darkroom.
Yeah, I'm sure they were.
No, not in the darkroom.
Watch some videos.
No.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. You'd be amazed at what they were able to pull off on film, for sure. Yeah. Yep. And look at even with landscape. Look at some of the crazy work that Ansel Adams did on some of his landscape photos.
Right, and I mean, yeah, you can alter the exposure of an image or the color of an image. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you can remove stuff too. It happens. I mean, it just takes somebody skilled in the darkroom to do it. And if it's just lots of makeup and playing in the darkroom. And now it's just gotten so much easier to do it, with a brush tool and stuff like that. Maybe it'll come back. It might be the direction things are headed. People are probably it'll be like anything else. People are going to get sick of people looking fake and plastic all the time, and The
Yeah,
push will be there for it to come back to being
I
a
mean,
little bit more
we're all
natural.
guilty of that. You know what I mean?
There you go. That's how they were doing it. I couldn't remember because I'm not a film guy. Airbrushing. Yep. So, so I'll share something really quick. I'm not gonna play more than just a second or two of it, but it is kind of what I was talking about earlier about the whole focus stacking and all of that, and just kind of it being a thing that I'm doing more of lately. So if you give me a follow over on YouTube, I don't know how many people that listen to this or watch this follow my YouTube channel. I don't have a ton of content that's new over there, but I do have a tutorial where I go through and I talk about the creation of this image, the whole process behind it, from exposure bracketing to how to do the focus stacking, how to merge everything together. All, in this case, just like the house photo a minute ago, it was 9 images in total. How to get all 9 of those images together to create, the finished product. And then I do go beyond that as well and talk more in depth about my post processing techniques, how I get the look that I go for. So I go into a decent amount of detail on this one. It's kind of long, it's about 30 minutes. But there's no way to really show the entire process without taking the time to do it and explain not just the how, but the why of it. And yeah, so I think I'm going to start doing more of these things. I've had a few messages since it went live, people that were asking, if I'm going to keep doing stuff like this because they want more of it. So if it turns out to be something, that you enjoy or whatever, just give me a message and let me know if it was valuable in any way. And I'll just keep producing, things like this. I will warn you that I clear my throat, I think like twice. I thought I edited those out, but holy cow, don't listen to it with earbuds because, like I said, I clear my throat, I think twice, and I think it gets a little bit loud when I do that. So I apologize for that in advance. But yeah, I think it might be a good watch for some people to check that out. If you're not familiar with focus stacking, and if you're not familiar with bracketing exposures and things like that, I explain why I'm doing those things versus using filters for example, in shots like that. So yeah, there's that. When is Sony going to offer in-camera focus stacking? I don't know. One thing I've learned since adopting the Sony system is their
You
firmware updates suck. They
no,
don't.
they do. I think they might have had focus stacking for 7 or 8 years already. I know they have a they have
not
time lapse.
not like
They
Olympus though. It doesn't do it in the camera.
Yes, it does. You have to go to the Sony store, and it's a separate purchase. And they're like $10 add-ons
I thought they
to
did
your.
away with the Sony store. It's not even in the app anymore. I
Last
don't even
time
think.
I looked, it was there.
Yeah, I didn't think it existed anymore.
And you go in and you buy they're basically add-ons. Because I had one for, I want to say it was Star Trails, maybe.
Yeah.
And that was early on though.
Yeah.
And then I just freaking learned how to do them without using the app.
Yeah. I mean, so let's see. The Play Memories is what the app was called. Because I had it because what did I have? I had a A7R2 for a minute. Let's see. Getting a message about it. May not function properly in like the latest Mac software. Yeah, the apps are still there, but it doesn't combine the images in your camera though. I think that's what they're talking about, is actually having it do everything in camera.
I think they do. I know the time lapse one did, because I shot a time lapse and it smashed it all down and made one video
Inside the camera, it wasn't like stored on your phone.
No,
Oh, that's cool.
It was on the camera, but so it was.
Yeah, I think Mike's right. I don't think that store is even active. I think it works on your camera, but anything newer, it doesn't. I knew that they got rid of that a while ago. Yeah. So the newer Sony camera, I don't think any of those apps work at all. So
Interesting.
so there's your answer. They're probably not going to offer it because, like I said, their firmware updates don't really seem to be like not like other companies where they're giving you features. Not that I've seen. They're usually just bug fixes. And that's about it that I've seen so far. It would be nice if they implemented some changes, like I think it's the A7R4, or maybe it's the A9. I think it's the A9, where it'll close the curtain when you're changing lenses to keep dust out. I mean, that seems like a pretty simple firmware update to push to any of their cameras to allow that, but for some reason they haven't. I think the best at firmware updates probably that I've heard is Fuji. And Olympus did good for quite a while. They were pushing out some decent firmware updates. And then that just kind of went by the wayside. So I don't know. Well, that's about all I got tonight, folks. If you have any more questions, now is the time to throw those out there.
Now's the time.
So I didn't know that. So Nikon does in-camera focus stacking. My girlfriend has the Z6. I'm gonna flip if she's got focus stacking, and we didn't know it. Hopefully for her it does, because it's not I don't have a problem doing it manually. It's not hard to just use the little thumbstick on the back of the camera and move my focus point through the frame. But if I could set it up and give it like a start and a stop point and just tell it, okay, here's the start, here's the stop, do 6 shots in between that or whatever, and just let it roll. Oh, Steve says yes, she does. Do you hear that, Shelly? You have focus stacking built in. Nice. Sigma's 1.4s on Olympus. No, I have not shot with any Sigma lenses ever. Not once. And it's not because I don't think they're good. I just never have. You know, when I was repping Olympus, they rained Olympus gear on me. So I really never had a need to venture outside of Olympus. The only outside of Olympus lenses I think I really ever owned during my whole time with Olympus was I had 3 of the Voigtlanders, the Nocton 0.95s. I had the 17, the 25, and the 42.5 f.95s. And then when Olympus came out with the f1.2 primes, I just unloaded the Voigtlanders. They were cool lenses. They were built like a tank, but no experience with Sigmas. Yep. I guess we have a new toy to play with, Shelly. We'll try your focus stacking out. I'm really curious to see what it does. Maybe Steve knows if it does it combine the images into a completed, like a fully stacked image in camera. That would be pretty awesome if it did that. I know Olympus does it, but it sticks you with a JPEG, which I guess I get it, sort of. I guess I understand why it does that, maybe. But maybe not, because they give you a live composite that's a raw file. But regardless, just having the camera run through the focal range for you is nice. It saves some time for sure. And I know I can do it with the A7 III with, I think, their newer remote. There's a way to do it in the remote. There's a guy I follow online, Joshua Snow, and I watched him do it in an Instagram live or an Instagram story. And I was like, sweet. Oh my God, I can't wait. I'll try it. And then I thought, well, damn, it was an Instagram story. It's gone forever. I have no idea how he did it. He walked through it so quickly. So at some point, maybe I'll try that with the Sony. But until then, it's all by hand.
Does that camera have a built-in timer? Meaning, like, can you take a 4-second shot, 5-second shot?
Yep.
Does it?
Yep. Yeah, you can do time lapse in the camera, I think. I'm pretty sure there's an intervalometer in it. I think I've seen that. But yeah. So Steve says it takes the set and then you take it into software, which is fine. That's what I'm doing with Sony files anyways. It's easy enough to do it that way. So cool.
I rather manually.
Listen, you just gave the whole thing away. Jerry's like, I'm too manly to do it with software and remote controls.
I rather do it manually, so I make sure I get it right.
Jerry's like, I'm just gonna set up and focus right here, and then I'm gonna pull the earth further into the frame, manly. Steve Perry's Backcountry Gallery website. There you go, Shelly. An ebook of Nikon's focus stacking. Here, I'll screenshot it so I don't forget it. There we go. All right, folks. Thanks for tuning in this week. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Jerry, for coming on tonight. I didn't think you were going to be able to make it back. So that's pretty cool to get you on here and keep me from treading water for an hour by myself. Right. So 2 weeks from now, we'll be back again. And 2 weeks from now, I expect a ton of questions again. It makes the show a lot of fun if you guys interact like that. And don't be afraid to ask the hard questions.
We should have somebody on again. I'll have them pop in. We should do that.
Like an open mic night where anybody can come on?
Yeah.
Let's do it. You heard it. Jerry suggested it. We're going to do it 2 weeks from now. If you want to come on the show,
jump in.
Don't worry about how you look. It's not hard to look better than us. Okay. So all you need is a microphone and some earbuds, and that's it.
You don't even need a microphone. You just need earbuds.
Why don't they need a microphone?
Well, I mean, they can use their phone even if they want to. I mean, you don't have to have an external microphone
because it's got a microphone built in.
Use your phone, people.
So we'll see you guys in 2 weeks, and don't forget, go check out my YouTube channel. I might have some fun stuff over there for you guys. And in the meantime, get out there and start shooting. We'll see you in 2 weeks.